From Janet Jackson to some of the biggest rappers in the industry, Oprah has rubbed quite a few famous people the wrong way. These are celebrities who exposed Oprah's red flags to the public. In the world of Hollywood, Oprah's relationships with celebrities have always been talked about, whether it's good or bad, and when it comes to the Jackson family, mostly been bad. Janet Jackson in particular made it very clear that she wasn't a fan of Oprah, especially after the infamous 2010 interview with her parents, Joe and Katherine Jackson. Randy Jackson, Michael's brother, was the first to make his opinion of Oprah known, tweeting angrily about Oprah, writing, "I know how Oprah feels about my brother and family," going on to accuse her of making Michael look bad in public by airing old footage of his 2005 trial. He even went as far as claiming Oprah, quote, wanted to see Michael in jail. Janet Jackson also went after Oprah. When Oprah was granted access to Michael's former home to interview his kids, Janet wasn't happy. The Jackson family had long known that Michael didn't really trust Oprah, especially when it came to his family, so Michael had made it clear that he didn't want them exposed to the public eye. So you can imagine how the family felt when Oprah pushed ahead with filming an exclusive interview with his kids. Janet was reportedly furious about this, believing Oprah was using Michael's family for ratings, which, I mean, not much speculation there, that's clearly what's going on. A source close to the Jacksons told the National Enquirer that Janet called Oprah out during a heated phone call, at one point saying, quote, "Oprah, you make me sick." And yeah, can't really blame her there. Oprah had crossed a line. The Jacksons felt like they were being used as pawns in Oprah's media chess game, and it was clear that Janet in particular wasn't having any of it. She wasn't the only one upset though. Later, Michael's brother Jermaine took to Twitter criticizing Oprah for blindly supporting the Leaving Neverland documentary, which reignited old accusations against Michael. He tweeted, "So many in media, including Oprah, blindly taking Leaving Neverland at face value. We faced similar graphic claims, plus trial by media in 2005. Jury saw through it all. Trial by law proved Michael's innocence long ago." Now, not too long ago, Ice Cube shared some personal grievances about being snubbed by two major TV outlets, Oprah Winfrey's show and The View. Now, during an appearance on Tucker Carlson, which oddly enough he was on there, Ice Cube shared his thoughts about his attempts to get on both programs, only to be turned down. According to Cube, his exclusion wasn't just about his work, but his political views. He said, "I tried to go on The View, they didn't have me on The View," adding that producers told him some of the hosts simply didn't like where he was coming from. He went on to say, "I've been on there before, it's just when I become an independent thinker, I don't follow their brand of politics, I guess." Cube also pointed the finger at Oprah, claiming she's had issues with him for years. "I've been excluded on Oprah," he went on to say, recalling how he was left out of promotional opportunities for his projects. One glaring example was the time he produced Barbershop, a movie he felt deserved a spot on Oprah's show, but he was left off the guest list. "I wasn't invited to participate with the cast," he said. And it wasn't just Barbershop. Cube also produced the show Black White, and Oprah interviewed the full cast, but again, minus Cube. He said, "She had the whole cast on, and I wasn't invited, so I don't know what that's really about." Ludacris didn't have a very good time on his Oprah appearance in the mid-2000s, describing it as uncomfortable. He didn't shy away from sharing the details either. He was on to promote the movie Crash, an Oscar-winning film centered around racial discrimination in America. While on the show with his co-stars, Oprah took the opportunity to address some issues that she had with his music, specifically the use of the N-word and derogatory language towards women. Now, according to Ludacris, Winfrey's questioning felt more like an interrogation than an interview. In a GQ interview after the show, he talked about how uncomfortable the entire experience left him, saying, quote, "She edited out a lot of my comments while keeping her own in. Now, of course, it's her show, but we were doing a show on racial discrimination, and she gave me a hard time as a rapper when I came on there as an actor." Things didn't really get any better either. Ludacris said Oprah then pulled him aside for a quick private chat, saying, "After the taping, she pulled me into a room and we had a 5-minute conversation. What I got was that by having rappers on her show, she feels like she's empowering them." The conversation left him feeling like an outsider though, especially because the vibe of the whole show had left him feeling so off. Ludacris went on to say that being on the show was like being at someone's house that doesn't really want you there. Oprah later defended herself and made it clear that she didn't have a problem with rap music as a whole, but that while she respected the freedom of artists to express themselves, she had concerns about content that could marginalize certain groups, particularly women, saying, "I don't want to be marginalized by music or any form of art. I'm a woman who has worked very hard for my status in the world, and as a human being, I feel rap is a form of expression, as is jazz. I'm not opposed to rap. I'm opposed to being marginalized as a woman. Ludacris and Oprah didn't have any kind of feud after this though. It was awkward, but that was really about it. For this next rapper though, not quite the case. 50 Cent did not hold back when talking about how he feels about Oprah Winfrey. In his book Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter, he talked about how he initially wanted to appear on her show to impress his grandmother and prove his success, but Oprah publicly slammed his lyrics, calling them misogynist and accusing him of glorifying violence. He wrote, "She was completely against everything that was in my music, so she ain't never going to have me on that show. I'm never going to reach that platform," which is confirmation of being a huge success. This was a turning point for 50 Cent, leading him to jokingly say, "If we can't be friends, then at least let's be enemies." He even named his dog after Oprah apparently and poked fun at her fan base, saying that they were mainly just elderly white women. So yeah, there was some tension to say the least here, but 50 did say later he and Oprah became more cordial, but he still disagreed with her criticism, saying, "Are you going to tell a painter what to paint? I'm an artist. Why am I limited to what you feel should be said?" Then in 2019, 50 took to Instagram to talk about Oprah again, talking about how she, quote, "goes after black men," referring to her involvement in the essay allegations against Michael Jackson and Russell Simmons, while being totally silent about men like Epstein or that major film producer with the initials HW who basically kicked off the Me Too movement. I wonder why that is. Oh. Yeah. Also in 2019, Monique took her turn calling out Oprah. It all started back when Monique was promoting her Oscar-winning role in Precious. Oprah did an interview, but not in the way you're thinking. The interview was with Monique's brother, Gerald, who had mistreated her growing up. And Monique, in a now deleted Periscope video, admitted that she had given Oprah her blessing to talk to Gerald, but what she didn't expect was for Oprah to bring her parents, Stephen and Alice, into the mix. Monique was shocked and horrified when they appeared in the audience for the interview. In the video, Monique said that Oprah crossed a line by involving her parents in something so personal, explaining that it was one thing for Oprah to interview Gerald, but the public display with her parents was another. As she said in a later interview, "Oprah didn't just interview my brother, she had my parents there too, and that hurt my heart." While Monique tried to move past the issue and even forgive Oprah, the scars from that betrayal were deep. The source told Radar Online in 2010 that Monique was still holding onto a grudge against her parents too, believing they hadn't fully acknowledged Gerald's mistreatment of her. The source added that even though Monique had forgiven Oprah, she couldn't let go of the hurt from her family's role in the drama, and that grudge, she said, could, quote, go to the grave. Alright, we've dumped on Oprah quite a bit, but here's a situation where she was clearly the victim. Joan Rivers was never one to hold back. If she didn't like you, you'd know it. Her beef with Oprah was no exception, and it really didn't take long for this little feud to become a thing. Rivers actually started it on Oprah's first ever national TV appearance on The Tonight Show in 1985. Oprah, in her book Food, Health, and Happiness, talked about the moment, writing, "It was all going smoothly, I was starting to settle in, and then it happened. Joan interrupted with perhaps the only question I hadn't prepared for, so how'd you gain the weight?" Oprah was understandably taken aback, continuing, "Wait a minute, did she just use my national television debut to ask me why I was so fat?" She added that Joan wagged her finger and told Oprah, "I don't want to hear your excuses. You shouldn't have let this happen. You're still a single girl." Yikes. And things didn't even end there. Joan took it up a notch, challenging Oprah to come back 15 pounds lighter next time. Jeez, yeah. Joan Rivers was just savage. Funny, but she had her not so great moments, no doubt. Now, according to some sources, Joan wasn't just playing the tough love card here. She allegedly couldn't stand Oprah, calling her completely opportunistic. One insider claimed that Joan says Oprah is the biggest phony in the world, feels Oprah's real gift is exploiting people's suffering and emotions and turning them into TV ratings. And she's not entirely wrong there. I think people like Dr. Phil are way worse in that regard. And I mean, Jerry Springer, my god. At least Jerry wore it on his sleeve though. That show was just so in your face offensive. There was no hiding it. You got what was on the tin. But anyway, totally fair for Joan to call her out for that. But calling her fat on national TV, that was pretty low.
Historically, this group started all the way back in the late 18th century and refers to its full name, Bavarian Illuminati. This was founded by a German law professor named Adam Weishaupt. who had a passion for ideals that revolved around enlightenment, and by creating this group, he thought it would connect like-minded people who happened to be elites. This was to teach these elites about reason, philanthropy, and other secular ideas that they would use to influence their political decision-making when they were in the right seats to do so. So what exactly did they believe in? Well, they were supposedly anti-clerical, anti-royal, and they very much thrived off the ideals of rational thinking and ruling for oneself. Source Vox states they were closer to revolutionaries than world rulers, since they sought to infiltrate and upset powerful institutions like the monarchy. So how does this tie into celebrities? Well, people speculate that the Illuminati uses these celebrities to influence us, with ways I'm not necessarily sure myself, but definitely comment down below on how you think so. Some artists such as Jim Carrey, Cat Williams, and Jeffree Star have spoken about their own thoughts on the group. Whether they were joking for clout or actually speaking the truth, who knows. Jim Carrey had made an appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live in 2014, to which he made the infamous signal of the triangle-shaped hand with his tongue hanging out. Jimmy pointed it out and said, "What is that? Is that a gang sign?" To which Carrey responds with, "Oh, like, you don't know what it is? You don't know what it is? You don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know. All the comics and show business don't know what this is. Come on, Jimmy." Jim Carrey clarifies that it's the secret symbol of the Illuminati, clearly mocking it and making fans wonder if it was a scripted stunt. Cat Williams' story on the case was a bit more of a personal experience, where he had called out Ludacris recently and the Illuminati during one of his interviews. He spoke in the interview with Clay Clay that the Illuminati group allegedly paid Ludacris millions of dollars to produce 20 films, he states. So there was a crossroads where we were both invited to Illuminati thing, and it had to be one or the other of us, and decisions had to be made. So it was both of us. We were equal. One of us had to cut off all their hair and couldn't do the sideburn thing no more, with the points. And the next person, they said, was going to get $200 million because they were going to pay him $10 million a movie to do 20 movies. And that's how the conversation happened. One of those persons turned out to be Ludacris, and the other person turned out to be Cat Williams himself. Jeffree Star's case, I'm still figuring out if it was supposed to be a joke or if he was serious about it, but he was also asked about the Illuminati back in 2023 during an interview with Bussin' with the Boys. They questioned him if it was real, to which he responded with, yes, going even further with explaining that there are evil things happening in Hollywood. The Illuminati is money-based, and all these celebrities being used are their vessels. Jeffree couldn't explain further on this, since he claims he escaped from the group in 2021, and was worried if he spoke more about it, he would get harmed in some way. Some spooky stuff going on in Hollywood right now. Starting out in the acting industry so young is incredibly difficult to balance properly, especially when you still have math homework to worry about, but also your lead starring role in a movie at 8 AM the next day. Demi Lovato becomes candid with us on her experience in her documentary, Child Star, explaining how it was very healing for her to make this movie and talk about the struggles she went through. She begins her statement with, "Going back and acknowledging my struggles was honoring my inner child and holding space for my younger self that didn't get to live a normal childhood in my younger years." Demi says that she's had her face in front of a camera since the age of 7. At 7, I was still playing Club Penguin and begging my mom to let me unbox my collectible Barbie dolls. She had a whole career in her single digits. Demi claims because of this, however, she developed a lot of issues revolving around her body image and self-esteem. Camp Rock was the skyrocketing pivotal moment in her career, and only being 15 years old at that. But during this time, she was bullied immensely, that actually carried on from her time on Barney and Friends. They had signed a petition saying that I should hurt myself, and it was passed around and people signed it, she claims, but also stated that this just fueled her motivation even more. Her older documentary, Simply Complicated, goes into a deeper story of how she survived a dangerous environment with her biological father, struggles with substance abuse, and issues when it came to food. She claims she's exposed everything about her life on it and didn't take out anything because it was too personal. Today though, she's become much better with substance use, although is very open that body image issues are still lurking around in her mind. I really only know about Mel Gibson through South Park, when they're making fun of him for being mentally unstable, the movies he's produced, and overall being a supposed weird guy. However, in 2023, an interview for Hollywood Conversations resurfaced about Gibson when he was being asked about the upcoming movie Sound of Freedom, which he wasn't necessarily a part of, but a lot of users claim that he used this interview to speak about the supposed evils going on in Hollywood. He referred to this area that this was all happening in as the town, to which why people are making connections to Hollywood, since many people used to use this word Tinseltown when describing it, alluding to its glittery and magical appeal of movie magic. In the full 1998 interview with Mike Figgis, the specific context we're talking about here is how disposable actors are, being big stars for one moment and then absolutely nobody the next. Figgis brings up the topic of a social contract that supposedly goes on in Hollywood, to which Gibson explains, the social contract, you can't get mad. You can't get mad. You can't let it get to you because you have to make a deal with everyone else. And it's almost unspoken that you are going to be effed over at some point by people who you may have done something nice for. And it may happen that by circumstance or even very purposely. He also goes on to explain that this town loves it when fresh, new faces come into the scene, and they will pretty much take over. But then he states it eventually gets to you that you can't get away from certain attitudes, from certain modes of behavior. Gibson even describes his experience with it, saying he started growing paranoid and suspicious of these behaviors when he first started out that he didn't understand. He says, I formed a bunch of opinions about the town and about the people in it that were like, surely that couldn't be, because a whole place can't be like, Weird Town. Where the strangers wanders in and all the people are in the bar and they all shut up when he looks at them. And they tell you don't go to that house on the hill. It's like that. And then you go away and you think, no, I was wrong. That's insane thinking. I'm paranoid. I imagine that stuff. That couldn't be the reason for why so-and-so was acting like that, could it? And then you find out later on the track that you were exactly on track with a lot of this stuff. Of course, due to a lot of legal reasons, he can't explain further about this, much like Jeffree Star's case, because who knows who's watching these interviews and who's literally there on the set monitoring everything you say. The acting industry has gotten better for the most part when it came to body inclusivity, but when it comes to the early 2000s and squirming its way through the mid-2010s, it wasn't the best place to be when everything revolved around how thin or muscular you looked. Jennifer Lawrence has been one of these celebrities who was quite vocal about the issue, especially when it came for women. She says, I think we've gotten so used to being underweight that when you are at a normal weight, it's like, oh my god, she's curvy, which is crazy. My own views were skewed that for the longest time, I thought Harper from Wizards of Waverly Place was overweight. Looking back on her clips now, she's literally at the perfect weight. Jennifer talked about the issue she was put under when it came to her roles, especially Hunger Games, where she was asked about how much weight she was going to lose for the role. She was firm in her responses by saying, I'm never going to starve myself for a part. I don't want little girls to be like, oh, I want to look like Katniss, so I'm gonna skip dinner. I was trying to get my body to look fit and strong, not thin and underfed. You go, girl, and you killed it in that movie. The Carrie Fisher also suffered through this when it came to Princess Leia in The Force Awakens, where she was told she needed to lose 35 pounds for her return. I'm in a business where the only thing that matters is weight and appearance. That is so messed up. The sad truth of the industry. RJ Might, a star from Breaking Bad, has spoken out to Hollywood telling them to cast people with physical disabilities for characters that have physical disabilities. He was extremely grateful for his role on Breaking Bad, since apparently it's been reported that 95% of actors who are playing characters with disabilities are able-bodied actors. Not only that, maybe even one day of having people with disabilities playing characters that aren't all about their disabilities. I would love to switch on my TV and see a disabled person talking about something they're genuinely interested in or acting out a part that doesn't just focus on their impairment, states RJ. When people are placed in a career where their appearance is the sole breadwinner and they are seen as nothing more than just that, a lot of things will go down when it comes to sexism issues on set, especially when we're revisiting the whole Hollywood is terrified of women growing old issue. Actress Michelle Yeoh even called them out with her Oscar award for Best Actress speech. Ladies, don't let anybody tell you you are ever past your prime. Never give up. Look at Meryl Streep, for example. She's absolutely rocking the waters with her roles as an older woman, and she is one of my biggest inspirations. It's not turquoise, it's not lapis, it's actually cerulean. Was anyone else a fan of Charlie's Angels? I personally loved it, with the image of insanely beautiful women kicking absolute butt on screen. Some people, however, did not feel the same way, and have good points as to why they don't. Actress Thandie Newton was originally supposed to star in the 2000 version of Angels, but dropped it because she felt objectified on set. She claims she was asked to play a racial stereotype on top of the objectification, where the co-chairman of the movie, Amy Pascal, who produced for Sony Pictures, told her to make her character more believable by getting up onto a table and start shaking her booty. Pascal denies this, however, not having any recollection of the event. The director himself, Joseph Nicole, or McG for short, explained to her the opening shot in a rather distasteful way. I can't wait for this. The first shot is going to be, you're going to think it's like yellow lines down a road, and you pull back and you realize it's the stitching, because the denim is so tight on your butt it's going to look like tarmac. Which didn't even end up happening, because if I recall, it starts off with the scene being on a plane. I do see where she's coming from, because that description is hilariously bad, but everyone views the movie differently, including me, and I'm still going to love it. Yes, Hollywood is chock full of its ups and downs, but I still want to try and pursue it. Maybe by the time I get my big break, things will be a little different. So that's like in what, 40, 50 years if I'm really lucky?
One of the biggest red flags about Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck's divorce is the fact that they have been living apart, completely separated. Now, although the couple made no public announcement about it, this has been confirmed by multiple sources and in multiple outlets. Now, it was first reported on May 16th that Ben had been staying at a Brentwood home all by himself. Then on May 19th, one inside source claimed that they have been staying in separate homes and the tension has been high. And then more recently, on June 28th, it was reported that Ben was moving his belongings out of their home and that the two of them only communicate now to discuss essential matters and updates. And these rumors expose their major marriage problems, which they've been hiding from the world. Now, Us Weekly spoke to someone back in May who said they started having issues a few months ago as Jen had started ramping up work commitments and prepping for her tour. They are on two completely different pages most of the time. Now, apparently around that same time, the couple did not celebrate Mother's Day together, which of course is a bad sign. It was also suggested that finances and parenting have made their issues worse. Meanwhile, another insider said Ben feels like Jen has a hard time feeling satisfied, and that's one of the issues they're facing. Ben is one of the only people who feels comfortable enough to be honest and real with Jen. It's part of why Jen loves him, but also why she's upset with him. Now, unfortunately, it seems like others around them are also pushing for divorce. JLo's mom allegedly told her, "Cut your losses and move on to avoid getting any deeper in this mess." She told her that she's wasted years believing that Ben was some kind of knight in shining armor. But according to her mom, he was not the person she built him up to be. It's taken too much of a toll on her, and because of this, she has lost sight of who she is and what she stands for. Meanwhile, JLo's sisters want her to file for divorce first and get on with her life so she can focus on her kids and career. And clearly, if her own family are giving her this advice, their marriage must be beyond the point of saving. Now, sadly, Ben's breakdown says a lot as well. It's clear he isn't going through the best of times at the moment. While rumors over the end of his marriage seem to be confirmed, the media spotlight that they're going through right now seems to be taking its toll. Now, Ben already proved it a few days ago after losing control and facing the paparazzi waiting for him at the exit of his mansion he shares with JLo in Beverly Hills. Now, he apparently went to pick up his personal belongings, taking advantage of the fact that his wife was on vacation in Italy. Now, one source close to him said, "It's no wonder he snapped, he's on the verge of a breakdown." Now, people close to Ben have been worried about him for a while because of what he's been going through in the past few months. They went on to say that he's in a very dark moment, and when he gets like this, his loved ones can't help but fear the worst. Now, since family has always been a fundamental pillar for Ben, he's now become very focused on his children, and surprisingly found a lot of support from his ex-wife, Jennifer Garner, who has not hesitated to offer her help to Ben, even though JLo is not thrilled about it. Now, apparently Garner always steps in when he gets like this, and she's been visiting him at home a lot to make sure sure that he's doing well. But again, J-Lo is apparently not too thrilled that Jen is stepping in like this, since it's well known that she has a lot of rules when it comes to her love life, which includes controlling how often Ben sees his ex-wife. Now, it's been rumored that the actor will be reunited with his ex-wife for Deadpool 3, and a source recently told Women's Day that J-Lo wants 24/7 access to the set and to be able to drop in unannounced. There are to be no promo joint interviews and/or photo shoots, and no after-work socializing. She wants Ben home as soon as he's done filming. So clearly, she is more than a little concerned about their workplace relationship. And J-Lo has also always been very strict on her idea of cheating, but she is known to take it a little too far. Now, she actually has a rule banning female flight attendants from her private planes because of her ex-husband's affair with one. And this is a rule that she has in place whenever she travels with Ben Affleck. Now, according to a news article, Jennifer was so angry after finding out her then husband Mark Anthony had a fling with a flight attendant that she banned women from working on her private planes. Now, the two of them ended up splitting in 2012, but she clearly still carries that resentment with her. So much so that she can't trust these women to be around Ben either. Now, several corporate flight attendants came forward and confirmed that Jennifer brings her own male flight attendant, who is really just her personal assistant. Talk about bending the rules. Now, J-Lo allegedly keeps Ben on a tight leash about other things too. Before they got married, she demanded that he had to be in the best physical shape. Now, after the couple rekindled their relationship, she put him on a strict diet and workout regimen. According to an inside source, when they first started dating, Ben was up at 5 a.m. hitting the gym with J-Lo. Now, she told him this is unacceptable and she expects him to pick up the slack and wants him working out every day and eating right, no excuses. Now, the singer has also put her foot down when it comes to Ben's drinking. She's not a fan of drinking and partying and has always had a strict limit, but she changed this rule completely because of Ben's struggles. But you see, that's the other thing. With all of these divorce rumors going around, it's become very apparent that they are totally different people. While Ben is known as a more chill celebrity, J-Lo is the complete opposite. Now, she allegedly has a rule where she does not allow staff to talk to her directly or look her in the eye. In one instance, when contractors were hired for a job that could take up to a year on her house, they were informed that they were not to communicate with her at all. An inside source said she has made it clear that if any of the contractors, drivers, or domestic help make eye contact or speak to her, she will not be impressed. Now, she doesn't speak to salespeople, restaurant or hotel staff, or flight attendants. She only talks through her assistants. One flight attendant famously exposed her rude behavior. Apparently, when he asked Jennifer if she wanted a drink during a flight, she flat out ignored him, turned her head, and told her assistant, "Please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke and lime." He said she wouldn't even look at me. It was sad. She seemed so sweet in her movies. Now, it's no wonder the singer is rumored to be entitled and superficial, because so many regular people have had the unfortunate one-time experience of being snubbed by her. And J-Lo's diva behavior actually goes back decades. Just ask fellow actress Rosie Perez. Now, they met back in 1991 during an open casting call for Living in Color. At the time, Perez was the show's choreographer and Lopez was auditioning to become a member of the dance troupe known as the Fly Girls. Now, her audition was unsuccessful, but Perez saw a star quality in J-Lo and actually pulled some strings to get her in. But after she was in the group, it became clear that Lopez didn't get along with her fellow dancers. According to Perez, she was labeled as a diva right away, saying all the girls were coming into my office complaining how she was manipulating wardrobe, makeup, and me all to her advantage. Perez said she didn't believe in it at first, but then J-Lo screamed at her saying, "I know I'm good, I'm better than any of these girls and you know it." Now, what's worse is after J-Lo left the show and made it big in the music industry, she went on talk shows trashing her former choreographer. Perez also implied that J-Lo ghosted her. She said, "I called her up, she wouldn't pick up. Frustrated, I left her an irate message on her answering machine, and instead of calling me back and hashing it out like friends do, she went on a major talk show and reiterated my lashing." Not to forget the fact that Jennifer also allegedly got a German hotel maid fired for asking for an autograph. Now, the staff member was working at the luxury Malia Hotel in Dusseldorf, Germany in 2012, and she was a big fan of J-Lo and worked up the courage to knock on the star's hotel door to ask for an autograph, but she was promptly turned away. She then claimed that she was fired the day after. She told The Sun, "I am an incredibly big fan, so I took all my courage and rang the bell to get an autograph, but I was rejected by 2 assistants at the door. A day later, the cleaning company that employed me at the hotel called and said that Miss Lopez had complained. I was fired right there on the phone." Now, after receiving a rightful amount of backlash, the pop star wrote on Twitter, "Come on, thought you knew me better than this. Would never get anyone fired over an autograph. First if I heard of this was on Twitter, #hurtful." So clearly she's been a controversial figure for quite some time, and fans are pointing this out now that they seem to be on the brink of divorce. So what's in store for this couple in the future? I guess we'll just have to wait and see, but I think it ends with divorce papers.
Coming in at number 10 today, we have the mattress photo controversy. So Gucci is currently receiving backlash on social media from social media users for an ad campaign that was posted on December 19th starring Harry Styles. Since last week, the brand has continued to post photos of Styles on Instagram while they were promoting Gucci's Ha 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 campaign. In the ads, Harry could be seen posing with what appears to be a smaller size mattress as he is dressed in a teddy bear graphic tee and trousers. While the campaign was first introduced back in November, Gucci is now facing criticism for the set props. With the props being a children's mattress, many people have been addressing their concerns, with one person saying, "Why is a toddler bed in this? Why the teddy bear t-shirt? What is the angle aside from Strange Things?" And a lot of people have been pointing out that the similarities that Gucci's campaign had are pretty similar to Balenciaga's campaign. That was embroiled just weeks before online after the campaign involved children holding French label teddy bears wearing some adult gear. With Balenciaga and Gucci being owned by the same company, the controversy wasn't really a shock to many. However, now it just proves that something concerning is going on with parent company Kering, as they keep bringing children into their campaigns under concerning circumstances. Though Gucci hasn't really spoken out about the ads yet, the campaign came to light under the director of Alessandro Michele, who since left the company after becoming the creative director back in 2015. Coming at number 9, the Vogue cover. So back in November 2020, Harry Styles would make history as he became the first non-female to have a solo cover in Vogue magazine in the 128 years it's been in print. For his cover shoot, Harry would end up being photographed by Tyler Mitchell. In the photos taken, it could be seen that Harry was wearing a variety of different dresses and brightly colored blouses. While many people praised Harry for breaking down gender norms, there was also a lot of people who criticized him for wearing such feminine pieces, including many conservatives like Candace Owens, who called his Vogue cover an outright attack on the manly men. While his fans and other celebrities came to his defense, like Jamila Jamil, she would even come out in a tweet to say Harry Styles is plenty manly because manly is whatever you want it to be, not what some insecure toxic woman hating D-heads decided it was 100 years ago. He's 104% perfect. Harry also spoke out about the backlash, telling Variety to not wear something because it's feminine clothing. You should shut out a whole world of great clothes, and I think what's exciting about right now is I can wear whatever I want to. It doesn't have to be X or Y. Those lines are becoming more blurred. However, even actor Billy Porter would criticize the cover by saying he felt disconnected from the opportunities for being a gay black man. Coming at number 8 today, we have the Harry House merchandise symbol. Since the release of his 3rd studio album, Harry House, in May of 2022, fans have been eagerly waiting for Harry Styles to drop new merchandise. In August, when the new merchandise was finally announced, it would come with some serious backlash as fans would claim the 2 capital H's had some anti-Semitic roots, and the signs have been banned in various European countries. With Harry's symbol referencing a certain German symbol, as he would have his logos printed on hats, and he was selling them on tour. When Harry launched his 2nd leg of his Love on tour, he would also release an array of new Harry House merch. And it was so popular, fans were even encouraged to
visit the tour venues early to get their hands on it. However, when fans started to point out the Semitic symbol, Harry's team appeared to have responded to the backlash by replacing the hat with an amended version of it, with one fan tweeting, "I get it's supposed to stand for Harry House, but if I see someone walking around with HH on them, I'm gonna assume that it's not Harry Styles fans. I'm gonna assume that the HH means the same thing as 88. And another person even added, "Please take it out of the merch line because it's very triggering and hurtful, not towards Germans, but also especially towards Jewish people." Along with the hats, Harry also had a logo printed on his shirt and hoodies that were uploaded to his website where you could purchase them before his team decided to change the logo. And number 7, song plagiarism accusations. Throughout the history of music, from time to time, thousands of cases of plagiarism allegations have been reported. With new controversies arising around copyrights in different parts of the world, I don't think any of us were really shocked when fans in Argentina started targeting Harry Styles for plagiarizing his new single, As It Was. When the British artist shared on his social media a small preview of the song for a few seconds on December 13th detailing the song that will be available on April 1st, instantly Twitter started to claim that the preview of the song was identical to a song by an Argentina group, Miranda, called El Profe. A few hours later, the Latin American band would become a huge trend on Twitter, and when more tweets started to appear, they seemed to demand justice for the alleged creator for stealing a project from another music group. With his debut album, he also has been accused of using an identical guitar riff as the 1968 Beatles song Blackbird. While Harry tends to stay away from the attention, we definitely won't see him speak on this matter anytime soon unless it magically becomes a topic that truly matters to the star. Coming in number 6 today, we have ignored BLM sign. So back in 2017, after the release of his first solo album, Harry would embark on tour and he would start playing at a number of different shows. While he was acknowledging the LGBTQ flags and spoke out in support of women, fans would become slightly outraged when he chose to ignore the Black Lives Matter flags in the crowd. In a blog post written by Infinity, writer Victoria Monar would question why Styles had chosen to remain silent when it came to the Black Lives Matter issue and why he still hasn't used his massive platform to raise awareness for the issue. During a concert in London, audience members had been given signs that read Black Lives Matter, and one fan even ended up throwing their sign on the stage. Although Harry didn't pick up the sign or look at it, chose to completely ignore the flags and the signs, and he even proceeded to step on them on the stage. During an interview with New York Times, Styles had even been asked if any outside chaos had influenced his solo album, referring to the issues of the Brexit, Black Lives Matter, and the American election at the time. Styles would then go on to say, with a really vague answer, Sign of the Times had been looking at several different things. When he was asked what those kind of things were, he then told the interviewer everything you were talking about. At number 5, we have the Roy Moore joke. While guest hosting on the Late Late Show for James Corden back in 2017, Styles made a joke that didn't really go down quite as well with his fans that he thought it would, according to the Daily Mail. During his open monologue, Harry would even decide to make a joke about the Republican Senate Roy Moore, who had just lost to a Democrat, Doug Jones, in Alabama, which is typically a state that tends to be a red state. Harry would then go on to say, "If you're anything like me, the only thing that you and your friends are talking about at the moment is the Alabama state race." Many of you would think that I'm unfamiliar with Roy Moore for being a Brit. That is not true. I am very familiar with Roy Moore. I've had to throw him out of a dozen of my concerts. While the audience did have a good laugh at the joke, many fans on Twitter didn't share the same thought, with one user saying, "You think because he's Harry Styles he gets a pass, well sis he doesn't. You can keep screaming at the wall, but the rest of us will hold him accountable." Now, Harry has never issued an apology or acknowledging the joke after he received backlash for it, and he probably won't, especially since the controversy surrounding Roy Moore surrounds children. Coming at number 4 today, we have culture appropriation. Back when Harry was still in One Direction, he decided it would be be a good idea to post a black and white photo of himself wearing a Native American headdress. With the photo receiving immediate backlash, a One Direction Twitter fan page called He's Problematic would be the first to comment on the photos after Harry uploaded them. The page would then say, Harry appropriated the Native American culture by posing in a native headdress and putting up a picture of himself in it on social media. People called him out for culture appropriation, but again, he never apologized for it. Now, it wasn't the first time that Harry has made some headlines about culture appropriation, as the page also called him out on retweeting pictures of himself in a digitalized blackface with other edits that mocked black culture. And just like the issue with the headdress, he never issued an apology, even though people called him out for it. I think it would be a great time to note that cultural appropriation is not nice regardless of the context or intent. So before you get braids or wear a headdress, maybe think about why these things are so sacred and why they hurt certain cultures, and admire them from afar and just leave it at that. After Harry's photos received a horrendous amount of backlash, he would take photos down and would proceed to stay quiet on the issue, as he has never issued an apology for his actions. And number 3, the Super Bowl announcement. So in 2020, Harry would announce that he would be performing at the Super Bowl event in Florida. According to the Metro, the announcement was immediately met with backlash. While many of Harry's fans urged the singer to pull out of the performance due to the NFL's racist past, especially with how they treated some former players, he ultimately decided to go ahead and perform at the NFL Pepsi Super Bowl party. With both the NFL and Pepsi being known for being racist, Harry's decision to perform at the event contradicts his claims to support Black Lives Matter, with his black fans requesting him to back out of the trend by creating a hashtag #HarryBackOut on Twitter. They would find themselves being ignored on social media, with the hashtag trending on social media. Many of Harry's fans would urge Harry to cancel his performance. While many people understood it might be hard for him not to perform due to his contractual agreement, they would encourage Harry to donate any money he made at the event to a Black Lives Matter organization, with one fan writing, "POC fans have the right to feel valued and respected. And if they aren't, I understand that Harry can't back out. Because of a contract, but he can speak up more and he can donate to BLM or other causes." And while his fans made some amazing suggestions, Harry did not donate the money that he made at the event to any cause. Coming at number 2 today, we have Olivia Wilde. With 2022 being a big year for Harry Styles as he's been touring, the singer also got his break in acting, as he had the chance to star in Don't Worry Darling and My Policeman. With both films releasing soon, none of us really know what to expect from the star, which makes the anticipation really high for these films. During an interview with Rolling Stone, Harry would extensively discuss his relationship with Olivia Wilde, which began after they met on the set of Don't Worry Darling. While Harry's fans tend to be really supportive of his new relationships, his relationship with Olivia is one his fans just can't get over, as they keep urging the star to leave her. With Olivia cheating on Jason Sudeikis to get with Harry Styles, there would soon be a lot of toxic negativity that started to surround Harry's relationship with Olivia. With having a 10-year age gap, fans would even start to make jokes and troll Olivia. Although she was a good sport when it came to the criticism, we all kept saying that there was something really off about her nice and friendly nature. And then the cast members of Don't Worry Darling started to speak up about how horrible she was to them on the set. And anyone who dates someone that horrible is known to be just as bad. And coming in at number 1 today, we have My Policeman. Harry Styles has been slammed by fans after making a comment that the film's deception of gay intimate scenes are usually two guys going at it. When the singer spoke to Rolling Stone about his new film, My Policeman, in which he plays a homosexual police officer hiding his sexuality in the 1950s, he would ignite some serious backlash when he spoke of his desire to express tenderness in the film's love scenes. Harry, who also detailed his refusal to confirm to a sexuality label to discuss his journey to figuring out his sexuality, said that the intimate scenes between the two men in the films is just them going at it, and it removes all the tenderness of love from it. Harry would then go on to know, I would imagine that some people who watch it, who are very much alive during the time when it was illegal to be gay, and wanted to show that it is tender, loving, and sensitive. With one fan coming out to say, if he doesn't want to label himself, I don't care, but he shouldn't be giving his opinion about a community that he doesn't even want to claim. Number 10, culturally insensitive. In 2016, Hawaiians were demanding an apology from Jennifer Lawrence after she joked about scratching her butt on rocks that are considered sacred to the natives on the island. When the actress appeared on Graham Norton's show with Chris Pratt on December 2nd of 2016, she explained that she actually almost injured a crew member while the incident was occurring. She went on to say that these rocks are sacred. I don't know if they were ancestors, who knows, but they were sacred. Jennifer was only able to sit on the rocks because she was wearing a wetsuit. She then went on to joke about the rocks were good for butt itching, and that one rock she was scratching against ended up coming loose and almost seriously injuring the sound guy on set. What made matters worse is Jennifer laughed about the fact Hawaiians were horrified about the incident and that they were going on about a curse when it was actually just her who knocked over the rock. In Hawaii, removing any black sand or lava rocks is thought to be a bad luck caused by the Peel's curse. That's why the removal of rocks for souvenirs is considered taboo to their culture. Jennifer later apologized for the incident by saying she meant absolutely no disrespect about the fact and that she understands the way it was perceived was not funny and apologizes if she offended anyone. If we can learn anything about Jennifer's incident, it's just to leave sacred items alone. Number 9. Transphobic. In November 2012, Jennifer appeared on Ellen to promote the Silver Linings Playbook film and made some pretty serious comments that many said came across transphobic. Jennifer told Ellen that she had this cat and that she never met a cat where you assume at first it's a boy because cats are girls and dogs are boys. The star went on to note that her cat had this huge masculine energy, and for the first week of having her, everyone referred to her cat as he. Ultimately, the star decided to call her cat Oliver and brought her cat a collar with the name Oliver written on it. She then thought the name was not right and changed her cat's name to Chaz Bono. This started a huge outrage with fans because if you don't know who Chaz Bono is, he's a transgender male. Fans also pointed out that the whole comment was outrageous and transphobic. What may have been a joke to Lawrence was definitely not funny and extremely offensive to the LGBT community. Throughout the show, you could tell Ellen was really uncomfortable with the subject, and after Jennifer was done speaking, Ellen tried to gently educate the artist by saying, well, you know, multicolored cats are females, before quickly changing the subject. Number 8. Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan has had a pretty easy target over the last decade. However, the jokes have gotten pretty cliche. So when Jennifer made a joke about the actress in December of 2015 while appearing on the late night show with Stephen Colbert, the joke fell a bit flat. She told Colbert that she gets Lindsay Lohan's great exhaustion but without the substance abuse. Lohan's sister quickly came to her sister's side to defend her after the show aired by saying, "I never breathe life into negativity, but I stand by my family. Disappointed in Jennifer Lawrence? You lost a fan." Lindsay responded to her sister by pretty much saying, "You can do anything to her, however, at the end of the day, she will rise and overcome any obstacle." Lindsay thanked her sister and threw some shade at Lawrence by saying, "Maybe whoever you're referring to should learn to support others like Maya Angelou." Even Diana Lohan came to say that the family loved Jennifer Lawrence and it was extremely unfortunate that she would use Lindsay's name to refer to not showing up on a set. And it's very difficult to see that Jennifer didn't have her peers back and that no matter who you are, you shouldn't trash anyone. Number 7. Getting miscast on purpose. When movie critics pointed out that Lawrence was a little too young to be playing a single mom in American Hustle at the age of 23 and then playing 40-year-old Joy in the movie Joy, she decided to laugh it off as a joke while appearing on Live with Kelly and Michael. She went on to say that David O. Russell is making a film and the plan so far is to have her play the mother of Bob De Niro. Star then went on to say, "I think more people that get mad and tell him I'm too young to be taking on these roles makes part of him think and say, yeah, Just watch and see. Now, this whole statement wouldn't have been such a big deal, but at the time, Jennifer had just come out against sexism in the industry. However, in this industry, ageism and sexism go hand in hand, especially when it comes to casting females in movies. At this time of the whole interview, upset the fans because Jennifer didn't even seem fazed by her action. Hopefully by the time she turns 50, she can see why this was such a huge issue at the time and understands why many were so upset. Number 6. She talks a lot of smack about a lot of stars. In 2016, Jennifer appeared on Watch What Happened Live with Andy Cohen. During the show, she and her best friend Laura Sampson engaged in a game called Shush You BFF Flush. In this game, Lawrence would be asked a series of questions where she had to dish the tea on the meanest things she has ever said about any celebrity without actually revealing who that celebrity is. The star went on to say a lot of nicknames for certain celebrities. She said, "There's the lady, there's Pickle." And her best friend Laura went on to add that the lady has different variations. Raging Lady, the lady in red, the lady in waiting. The whole ordeal was just outrageous as the two went on to talk because Jennifer and best friend sounded like they have a whole lot of issues with other female stars. Number 5, David O. Russell. It's no secret Jennifer loves working with David O. Russell because he's given the star some iconic roles where she's been able to break the age barrier and try something new. Lawrence loves David so much, she actually tears up whenever she talks about him. Many have pointed out that's probably because she has a better relationship with him than most actors do. However, David has a long track record of being aggressive with his castmates and crew. The New York Daily News report leaked Sony's executive emails, which showed an altercation between David O. Russell and co-star Amy Adams. The messages were so concerning that co-star Christian Bale had to step in and intervene. However, this isn't the only time Russell has overstepped his boundaries with another actor, as George Clooney once claimed he got into an altercation with the filmmaker after he was aggressive with his castmates and crew on the 2009 set Three Kings. A video has also since surfaced of an altercation where you can see Russell screaming at actress Lily Tomlin while filming the 2004 Hart Huckabee's film. Russell's bad behavior and Jennifer's support for the filmmaker is definitely concerning. However, he isn't the only controversial director Lawrence has deep affection for, as back in 2014, she told Vanity Fair that she worshipped Woody Allen. 4. Racially insensitive. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Lawrence revealed that she and her best friend, Amy Schumer, were working on a play together. She went on to say that the film was less than promising. She said that she and Amy played sisters and would go on a road trip to reconnect with their brother. She then said there was a twist and laughed about it being very hilarious and that it was incredibly offensive. The star then went on to say she made a tagline that she wanted to put on the movie's poster, and it said, "Minorities will be offended and so will all white people." There's definitely other ways to be funny than to be racist, and if you think a joke might just hurt someone, probably shouldn't say it. Unfortunately for the situation of Jennifer's shadiness and Amy's shocking and often tasteless jokes, Jennifer definitely wasn't exaggerating with her descriptions. 3. She lies a lot. While trying to be relatable, Jennifer has a really hard time telling the truth. For an example, she once told a story on Late Night with Seth Meyers about how she vomited at Madonna's 2014 Oscar party and Miley Cyrus had to tell her to get it together. While some amused to know if the statement was true, Miley shortly tweeted that the incident was not true and it never happened. And this wouldn't be the first time Jennifer has gone on to use another celebrity's name to create a fictionalized story, because she also claimed to have followed John Stamos around a party and she really freaked out because she was a huge fan. She then went on to tell Late Night host Cohen Brian that he offered her a substance and she said no. However, when the Full House star was later asked about the incident, he was shocked and tweeted that it was a complete lie, proving that Lawrence can't be trusted when it comes to her speaking about other celebrities. Number 2. Her falls are fake. In 2013, when the star tripped on her way up the stairs to accept her Oscar, the fall to many of us was endearing and adorable. However, it just kept happening. In 2015 at the Oscars, she fell on the red carpet, making even Jared Leto question if the incidents were all just an act. And then came the evidence to prove his theory correct. For Lawrence's part, she may be thinking she's doing the right thing when asked about her deliberate falls and clumsiness. Jennifer told Marie Claire that she just was trying to do the right thing, waving to her fans. The star went on to say, all of a sudden there was a traffic cone. The second I hit it, I was laughing, but on the inside, I was like, oops. They're totally going to think it was an act. She then noted that even if she was Jared Leto, she would completely agree with the fact that she was faking the falls. It's definitely something we should keep an eye on, because even though the star went on to say she would have never done it at the Oscar twice in a row, I think that's exactly what she would have done.
Number 10. Justin Bieber's roast. The comedy roast. The most wonderful tradition of the comedy world. A gathering of some of the funniest and most clever people on the scene coming together to make fun of each other on stage in a friendly and dark performance. In 2012, actor, comedian, scholar, and jerk James Franco participated in one of these roasts, inviting several top-tier comedians like Sarah Silverman, Aziz Ansari, and to host the show, he got his longtime buddy, Seth Rogen. One of the key members of the dais was Jonah Hill. Jonah was best known for comedic roles in movies like The Sitter and Superbad, but around 2011 he made a shift to the more serious side of filming, starring alongside Brad Pitt in the movie Moneyball. While he was sitting in his cozy little chair before his turn on the mic, everyone who came up to the stage had a joke to make about Jonah's behavior. He's been cold and rude, man, with his head jammed so far up his rear that he looks like an alien from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. When Jonah came to the stage to retort, he held his own, but his words were noticeably more scripted compared to his fellow performers who gave like a more off-the-cuff and authentic delivery. The truth has been there all along. Jonah said little to nothing to his fellow roasters following the event, apparently snubbing James himself. Everyone collaborated on a movie called This Is the End, and according to Seth Rogen, it was the last time that he ever saw Jonah Hill smiling and enjoying his time on set. It seems that his turn to the more serious side of things may have taken a toll on his ability to feel joy. Number 9. His choice of roles. Jonah's career is filled with everything from comedy blockbusters to serious dramatic pieces. He got his start working in comedy films, with one of his first performances being a brief cameo in the film 40-Year-Old Virgin before moving to a leading role in the classic cult comedy Superbad. It's one of my favorite movies, and Jonah is by far one of the best parts of it, on top of Bill Hader and Seth Rogen as cops. That's just legendary. While he started making people laughing in 2007, by the mid-2010s, Jonah had shifted his efforts to the more serious and macabre, with his roles in films like True Story and Wolf of Wall Street. He even earned an Oscar nomination for his supporting character in Moneyball with Brad Pitt. The red flag was the dramatic shift in tone from Hill as a performer. If you put his posters from the last 20 years side by side, you'll see that the older he gets, the less color there is on the page. Like, the more serious things are, the more black and white they need to be. He attempted to return to the comedy world in a recent Netflix movie called Don't Look Up, but thanks to the news of his possible tyranny arising, we doubt there will be a 23 Jump Street anytime soon. Number 8. His refusal to be interviewed. Have you ever noticed that when a Jonah Hill movie comes out, he's like never really been around to talk about it? Well, according to several celebrity news and interview sites, Jonah actually refuses to participate in most interviews simply because the ones that he has done in the past have just been extremely uncomfortable. When he was doing press for the movie Superbad, several of the interviewers are asking Jonah questions about his weight, calling him a large comedian over and over again. Now, he may be a large man, but that wasn't necessarily the selling point of Jonah Hill. The following few years, while still being involved in comedy films, Jonah was dodging questions left and right about his size, going up and down. Eventually, Jonah actually lost a ton of weight for his role alongside Channing Tatum in the comedy movie 21 Jump Street. The interviews for that film were the final straw for Jonah, though, now being asked by people why he was so thin, literally fighting one of the most unwinnable battles of interviewer time. Since the early 2010s, Jonah has been sticking to the shadows and simply being in whatever movie comes out. While the line of questioning may have caused him to avoid the interview spotlight, this was around the same time he shifted to a serious role in Moneyball, seemingly proving his mind had snapped. Number 7. Jonah's ex. Recently, a news article broke that has brought to light some troubling information about Jonah Hill. According to his ex-girlfriend Sarah Bradley, Jonah was emotionally damaging towards her during their relationship. The couple first got together in 2021, meeting on a beach as she was a surf instructor. According to a series of texts between Sarah and Jonah, it's obvious that he is mentally manipulative. He tells Sarah to remove any photos of her surfing from Instagram that showed her bum bum in a thong, and when she did that, he told her it was a good start but that she didn't seem to get his point. He then told her, "It's not my place to teach you. I've made my boundaries clear. You refuse to let go of some of them, and you've made that clear, and I hope that makes you happy." In another screenshot, Jonah showed his plans and simple conditions for maintaining their relationship, including stating that he didn't want Sarah surfing with men. You know, like doing her job. He wrote a massive list of boundaries and rules that were clearly him trying to control everything that Sarah did. One point literally saying that she can't post pictures of herself in a bathing suit. What's she supposed to wear to the beach? A turtleneck? His manipulation is apparent and will surely shift Hollywood's opinion on the once great comedian. Number 6. The Wolf of Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street is considered to be one of Martin Scorsese's best modern movies. The film is based on a book written by the titular wolf Jordan Belfort, chronicling his rise and demise to stock market fortune. In the film, Jonah plays Donnie Azoff, a man who actually quit his job to work for Jordan in the glory days. His character is a good time on screen, but Jonah's ability to play Donnie is just a little bit too good. Donnie's character spends the majority of the movie being a degenerate and getting his friends either arrested or injured over and over again. According to Martin Scorsese, Jonah would just walk on set and go in. No prep, no routine, he would just go. This should have been the biggest red flag of them all. If someone playing an evil wizard had just walked on set one day and started shooting lightning balls out of their hands, you'd be like, "Oh my god, that guy's a real wizard." When Jonah was able to easily switch between himself and the womanizing substance user he plays on screen, Martin should have called a psychiatrist to give this guy a good once-over. Number 5. His rapid change in weight. Many performers are able to shrink and grow seemingly at will. Look at Christian Bale. He has gained and lost weight over and over again for roles over the years, attributing the dramatic changes to a form of method acting, allowing him to literally embody his characters. Jonah is no stranger to this concept, as he was spotted over 100 pounds lighter in 21 Jump Street than he had previously been in the movie Moneyball. I guess when you're nominated for an Oscar, they give you some kind of a gym membership or something. We should look into that. While Jonah's rapid shrinking and growing isn't necessarily a red flag per se, we can't imagine that the rapid change is good for his body, and with the news of his possible toxic behavior, it appears that change may have affected his mental health as well. In his most recent flick, You People, alongside comedy legend Eddie Murphy, Jonah appears to have returned to his larger build and returned to the realm of comedy. Now, I haven't personally seen the movie, but the reviews so far suggest that it may be one of those movies that you throw on in the background, you know, just kind of put it on while people are hanging out. Just not a good one. Number 4, his attitude on set. Jonah may have started his career as a comedy king, but his attitude on set is anything but fun. According to many directors over the years, Jonah is a very gifted actor, able to come to set prepared for work every day with no hesitation. The only overall problem seems to be his communication skills. Jonah is known to be a very quiet and reclusive man on set, apparently spending a majority of his time in trailers away from the cast and crew. He's also known to be rather quiet while being given directions or while waiting for a scene to be reset. Like, imagine being a PA on set, you're standing next to the guy from Superbad and he's just on his phone playing Candy Crush all day. People always say it's the quiet ones that you have to worry about, and it seems that his quiet time may have been spent contemplating the meaning of life and his role in it. Or he spends it making a mental list of all the things that his partner needs to do to please him in a relationship. That might be it too. Number 3, he turned down The Hangover. Arguably one of the funniest trilogies in recent history has been The Hangover Saga, a series of films following 3 friends trying to piece together the wild night they had before. They lose their friends on roofs, they steal monkeys, and Ken Jeong is in it, so you cannot go wrong. What many people may not know is that the role of Alan, played by Zach Galifianakis, was actually offered to Jonah Hill over 3 times before they just finally gave up. While there was no specific reason why he didn't want to participate in this, a low-budget flick called Cyrus was released not long after The Hangover started production. It seemed that Jonah wanted to work in a more serious role instead of participating in one of the highest-grossing comedy trilogies of all time. While Cyrus was an interesting movie, it follows Jonah playing the titular son, living with his mother, played by Marissa Tomei, who befriends and begins to date John C. Reilly. It's a great movie, but it's nowhere near the caliber of the Hangover series, so we just wonder how hard Jonah was kicking himself after that one. Number 2, he canned 23 Jump Street. Alright, this is an entry that actually hurts to talk about, so I just need a second because it would have been really cool if they had made it, okay? In 2012, Jonah and Channing Tatum starred in a comedy reboot of the classic crime series 21 Jump Street for a more modern audience. The film received massive success at the box office and was quickly picked up for the sequel treatment. The sequel ended up being one of those few examples in Hollywood history of a second movie being better than the first, which is why it was so surprising to hear that the planned threequel 23 Jump Street was canned by Sony Studios. The main reason being, well, it was just too ambitious for Jonah. You see, the third entry in the franchise was going to be a massive crossover between two Sony properties. Jonah and Channing were set to cross paths with Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith's characters from the Men in Black trilogy. The leaked script told the story of Jonah and Channing's characters investigating a new substance at a university, only to discover that the suppliers are extraterrestrials being hunted by the Men in Black. The idea of Jonah and Channing wearing that black suit and shades while holding comedically large it makes my soul sing with joy. A script was written, but ultimately the studio thought it just wouldn't make any money and end up being a massive misstep in the franchise. Apparently Jonah actually had something to do with this too. You see, while Channing was filled with excitement towards this project, Jonah felt that the entire thing was going to be one giant pain. His under-enthusiasm made the studio nervous to go forward with what would have been one of the best movies in the last 10 years. Instead, Sony decided to reboot the Men in Black franchise with Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth, and it's just bad. It's just really bad. And at number 1, everything about him. I know it's a bit of a cop-out to say that the biggest red flag is everything that Jonah Hill has done, but am I wrong? As mentioned on this list, this guy has shifted his weight up and down, he's ignored his cast and crew while on set, he's flippy-floppy all over the genre map, and he's been mentally manipulative towards the women in his life. Jonah was a light in the early days. People remember him bringing joy to the set and always being in a good mood. But as the years went by, things got worse and worse, to the point that he now just does his job, grabs his check, and moves on to the next project. Now that he's been outed as being a mentally manipulative man in his personal life, we can only imagine the slew of backlash and cancellation that Jonah is surely about to face.
And number 10, pricey tickets. Now, it's been hard to follow the Ticketmaster scandal since it erupted across social media this past week. However, the ticket prices should have been a huge red flag for any fans before they even tried to purchase the tickets. For those who were able to purchase tickets, they became victims of a dynamic pricing which forced them to pay amounts well above the established ticketing price, even for nosebleed seats. And don't even get me started about the fees, as the fees added up to be more than half the ticket price. This was all before considering the resale, as front row tickets started at $20,000. Now, even resale sites have the ticket prices marked up to tens of thousands of dollars per seat, so it looks like most of us will be listening to Taylor Swift play in the comforts of our car in the parking lot outside of the event, because that seems more reasonable compared to the ticket prices. And number 9, hours online. Fans who tried to score tickets last Tuesday would skip school and work just to spend hours online for the chance to receive tickets, and the tweets that came with it were pretty hilarious to read, with one user writing, "If Chick-fil-A was in charge of the Ticketmaster queue, I would have had Taylor Swift tickets within minutes, just saying." Fans would also even start a movement using Ticketmaster is over party hashtag. Now, such chaos surrounding ticket sales isn't uncommon. However, if you're a fan that decided to skip school and work just to get a verified code so you could purchase tickets, I hope you got your tickets, because school and money is definitely more important than stressing yourself out over a little concert. Hey my peaches, are you enjoying this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And number 8, endless queues. After fans received a verified pre-sale code, thousands would head to Ticketmaster to purchase tickets. However, the horror that would arise when fans hit the site would leave many unhappy. The pre-sale would leave many fans stuck in hour-long queues with more than 2,000 plus people ahead of them trying to grab tickets for the Eras tour, Taylor's first tour in 4 years. The queues were made so Ticketmaster could distinguish who was a bot and who was really buying tickets, and it definitely came with some major flaws. I don't know what's more concerning, the fact that queues were 2,000 people long, or the fact that some of you actually spent 6 to 8 hours waiting in a queue just to grab a ticket. I mean, that's some serious commitment, and some of you weren't even going to meet the singer. So was it worth waiting in these lines, and were you actually able to nab a ticket? If so, let me know in the comments below. Number 7, fans kicked off the queues. So roughly 3.5 million people signed up for the chance to buy Taylor Swift tickets in advance sales. This would make her tour have the largest registration in pop music history. However, later Ticketmaster would say they received more than 3.5 billion system requests to buy the tickets last Tuesday. Anyone looking to grab seats definitely was a little surprised when they had to wait in an hour-long queue. Some fans, just when it was finally their turn to grab a ticket, they were booted out of the system and forced to return to the bottom of the queue, which was filled with even more people. One fan even took to Twitter to say, when you spend 6 hours waiting in a queue and finally get through, only for Ticketmaster to say you haven't signed into your account, even though you are, and then put you back in a queue with 2,000 people ahead of you again. And then some people didn't even make it to the end of the queue before they were kicked off the site and forced to try again multiple times. I'm sorry, but that's some serious commitment just to grab a ticket. And number 6, Ticketmaster canceled sales. The whole process to buy a Taylor Swift ticket became such a huge messy disaster that Ticketmaster would eventually come to the final decision to cancel the public sale for Taylor Swift The Eras tour. The company would cite extraordinarily high demands on ticketing systems and insufficient remaining ticket inventory as the reasons to why they were pulling the plug on general pre-sale early. With the high demands of fans trying to buy tickets, Taylor would have to perform over 900 stadium shows just to meet the demands of people trying to buy tickets. So I guess Ticketmaster made a pretty smart move there. And number 5, money taken from fans' accounts when the system crashed. Some fans, before they were kicked off the system, were actually waiting for their cards to process just to get their tickets. However, some of these fans would still end up being charged without receiving the ticket, and one unlucky fan actually ended up getting charged 14 times and she still didn't get a ticket. In a now viral tweet by Twitter user Sydney Sarah 1, that she shared that she waited all day in a virtual queue for tickets after she noticed that she was allegedly charged 14 times despite not even successfully getting the concert tickets. The user took to Twitter to say, waited in a line for Taylor Swift tickets for 8 hours today, and SeatGeek charged me 14 plus times for tickets I wasn't even able to purchase. So now my bank accounts, happened on multiple cards, are frozen. I'm broke, it overdrafted my accounts, and I did not get the tickets. She would then even post bank receipts to back up her post. SeatGeek did eventually end up reaching out to her to provide a refund, so now all she has to do is wait for the money to come back in. 4, the tour announcement. When Taylor Swift announced her tour, it should have been a red flag to all of us, even before we jumped on the internet to purchase tickets. I get it, it's been 4 years since Taylor did her last tour, and with everything going on in the world, it would have been the perfect event to clear your mind and to help you believe that everything's finally getting back to normal. It was said that tickets could be purchased earlier for Capital One credit card holders. It should have been speaking red flags, as pretty much everyone in America owns a Capital One credit card. And there wasn't a limit on how many people could sign up for the pre-sale, meaning you all should have known that there was going to be problems purchasing tickets, with 3.5 million people signing up to get the pre-order ticket code and about 3.5 billion of you trying to get on the platform to buy tickets. Did you really expect the internet not to crash in the process? And number 3, investigation being launched. With many fans being left empty-handed, state officials are now involved in an investigation to see what went wrong. In Tennessee, the Attorney General would even announce that his office is investigating whether Capital One pre-sale through Ticketmaster violated protection laws. Even a United States representative said that Ticketmaster is a monopoly, its merger with Live Nation, and it should have never happened or been approved of in the first place. Even Joe Biden would take to Twitter about the fees and would say, I know hidden junk fees like processing fees on concert tickets are just a pain. They're unfair, deceptive, and add up. That's why last week I called on my administration to crack down on these fees and put the money back into your pockets. Hopefully he can do that because those fees were ridiculous and it should have been illegal. And number 2, Taylor's response. Taylor Swift was just as unhappy about the ticket sales situation as her fans, and she took to her Instagram to post a 3-paragraph response. Taylor would go on to say, well, it goes without saying that I'm extremely protective of my fans. We've been doing this for decades together, and over the years, I brought many elements of my career in-house. I've done this specifically to improve quality of my fans' experience by doing it myself with my team who cares about my fans as I do. It's really difficult for me to trust an outside entity with these relationship loyalties, and it's excruciating for me to watch mistakes happen with no recourse. There are a multitude of reasons why people have such a hard time trying to get tickets, and I'm trying to figure out how this situation can be improved moving forward. I'm not trying to make excuses for anyone because we asked them multiple times if they could handle this kind of demand, and we were assured they could. Taylor then went on to say she was truly amazed that 2.4 million people were able to get tickets during this mess, and she was really upset about the trouble fans went just to try to grab a ticket. And at number 1 today, we have Ticketmaster's apology. After Ticketmaster decided to cancel the general sale for Taylor Swift's upcoming Eras Tour, they would issue an apology to Taylor Swift and her fans with a lengthy explanation. The company would go on to say, first, we want to apologize to Taylor and all of her fans, especially those who had a terrible experience trying to purchase tickets. Next, we feel we owe it to everyone to share some information to help explain what happened. They would then go on to explain their verified fan registration process was intended to help manage high demands of sales and weed out bots. They also explained that 3.5 million people pre-registered and that they only sent out codes to 1.5 million users to join the sale, and that 2 million people were placed on a waiting list. They then went on to say that only 15% of users actually experienced issues getting tickets, and they blamed that on the traffic and staggering number of bot attacks. However, we all know they weren't ready to deal with the high demand of clients, and they honestly need to create a better system because this was not it.